up, Nitro Gang? There was an entire video dedicated to the T-Maxx gang, where a pair of T-Maxxes assaulted the damn RC oval track. And now, I'm about to do it again tomorrow. The only problem is, I have to do a little bit of my own maintenance. It's not like running electrics. You can't just stick a battery in there. You can't just go buy a diff that's always constantly stripped because, you know, diff problems. Now, in my case, I have a couple situations as well. Actually, it's not really even that big of a deal. This T-Maxx is a freaking destroyer. It takes everybody out at the track. What's great is, when like the smaller 10 scale rustlers, any RC basically, they try to get me from the back, this thing has monster truck tires, guys. They instantly like flip right over me. In my previous T-Maxx gang assault video, make sure you watch that. Don't miss it out if you're in a Nitro gang. Everybody, they were all flipping right over this T-Maxx.
Oh, we did it! Oh, yeah! Oh, the wheelies are insane! Oh, that was a close one! That's what you call a 3.3. Oh, we're back, get out of my way! Oh, yeah! Why, you can't handle that, Rustler? Oh, yeah! You deserve that! You deserve it, bro! Try to overtake me!
I have a brand new Traxxas clutch. In reality, I only need the clutch spring. Fairly inexpensive, like $7, $8, $9 on eBay. You can get them anywhere. So, not the end of the world. This is probably a 12-year-old T-Maxx, guys. Original motor. I run all my stuff stock. So when you see the performance this is going to have later on the track, you will know what to expect from a stock T-Maxx. I'm not going to say, hey, go put an OS21 big block in here. You need that. You need that right away. Go get another motor. The stock Traxxas motor sucks. Why do I think it's good? Well, because of course I have the piston here in the front. You know, this is the T-Maxx piston edition. Let me show you something a little bit sad. I was going to be running my Jato 3.3 tomorrow, but you see this wheel right here? Yep, we got ourselves a wheel problem. Now today I was running at the track and somebody ran into me at nearly top speed. And this is what happened. It's not just a broken link. This portion of this link here, you guys see this? It's like a plastic piece sticking out. It's part of the entire transmission and gearbox. To be honest with you, I am pretty devastated about this repair. I was hoping it would only be some kind of link here, maybe a ball cup popped off, but no. These links on the damn Jato, they're insane. You know, my first point of failure here was a part that's going to require disassembly of the entire brake system and of the entire transmission, the two-speed assembly. Pretty devastating. As you could tell, my table here, it is basically full of stuff. This is an old 1994 Team Associated RC10 GT that I'm also repairing. This does run. I was able to fix the motor. It was fully seized, of course, but
RC10 GT, baby! First start in about 20 years. Full rehab. OS 15 CVX motor. 1994 nitro. You can't kill it. It wants to go, guys. It wants to go.
I ran into another problem. These things have ball differentials. And unfortunately, the thrust nut that's used to adjust the tightness of the ball diff, it is broken. Luckily enough, I just cruised Amazon and I picked up a whole new set for about $7. I'm going to be putting that in soon. This Team Associated original 1994, this tub chassis they call it, not like the newer models. This is going to be also probably destroying electrics on the track. Now, this one is not mine. I am repairing it for, you won't believe this, what I'm about to tell you. I'm repairing this for a buddy of mine who used to own this T-Maxx. And no, it's not T-Maxx Tony. T-Maxx Tony was only born maybe last year. You know, he's a noob. This is from an original RC guru. This guy purchased this brand new. And he actually wound up giving me, donating this to my channel. And I really appreciate it, you know. Oftentimes, I don't buy new stuff. You will rarely see me buy new stuff. I'm a cheap SOB. Even if I was a millionaire, I've told this to many of my RC fans, I would probably still drive a Prius. That's just my personality. You know, love it, hate it, it doesn't matter. You're not my girlfriend. And if you are my girlfriend, hey honey, what's up? How you doing? I'm gonna get to work on this T-Maxx right now. To be honest with you, I really was hoping to run my Jato, and it's very late right now, guys. Look at what time it is. It is 11:11 p.m. at night. I am repairing my T-Maxx at basically nearly midnight because I take the Nitro gang seriously. I'm not gonna show up tomorrow to the RC track and get destroyed by every electric. It is not gonna happen. I have to win at least, I would say, 90% of the races. Okay, let's be honest. 75. I'll take 75. And if it's under 75, you just won't see those. I'm just kidding. I stand for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, including free markets. That is what we need. We need to go back to our old economic structure. Actually, they talked about getting rid of the free market, but I think it's actually still here because we're still all purchasing stuff on Amazon and on random Chinese websites. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. The market is free. The economy's doing good. What's going to happen with this new president? We're going to find out. The problems I had last time, I'm going to demonstrate it for you right now. Other than the clutch spring being really loose and this thing just rolling all the time, and I'm having to constantly give it brakes so it doesn't move forward, listen to this. Classic T-Maxx one-way bearing slippage. Normal in the nitro RCs. No big deal. You guys see that? It spins over. It catches a little bit. Honestly, it will start. Like, this will start, but it's not ideal. You want this bearing not to slip like this. You want to hear the piston move up and down. It's no big deal. Once again, it's like a $10 bearing. You could replace it. I'm going to remove the engine right now. While I have it out of the car, I am going to be dremeling the starter shaft. I've done this before on some of my other RCs, and I'm going to tell you right now, it actually does work. Working on these things is extremely easy. I've done this numerous times already on other models. Just 4 basic 2.5mm screws here, and the engine almost comes out. There's just a couple little hangers, you know, remove the exhaust pipe, remove the throttle linkage, coupling, and boom, there you go. These T-Maxxes, man, it's a super archaic design like from the, you know, late 1990s. But listen, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Not everybody has to run like the newest 6S Arma. You know, you can run yourself a nice vintage stock Traxxas and still take them out. You just gotta make sure that you're a good driver. And Nitro Gang, we're pretty good drivers, guys. We're pretty good because we take care of our stuff, we respect it. And therefore, we learn how to drive in order to win. We drive smarter, not harder. Although, when it does hit the 2-speed, I am pretty proud of it, you know? Remove the easy start wires. There's no way you can mix them up. There's a red dot on top of the electric start motor. You will obviously see it when putting the wires back on. I will be installing something new, guys. Check this out. An inline fuel filter that is see-through. This is a Turnigy item. I got this from Hobby King. I noticed these Traxxas tanks do not have built-in filters. Every other nitro I've seen, Associated, HPI, they almost always have built-in permanent filters. Here, there's nothing. So I'm gonna install this Inline. I've never used one of these before. This will be my first time. It's kind of cool looking. You know, this was like pretty cheap. I think like $250 or something like that. We'll put it in. We'll see what it's like. Hopefully it doesn't restrict it. Remove the exhaust line. The motor should come out unless there's something else I'm missing, which, you know, it's possible. Sometimes you miss stuff. Nope. Remove 3 screws here in the Easy Start assembly, and you will have access to the one-way bearing, which is the troublemaker. Now, guys, I just noticed I have a whole bunch of oil here coming through the back plate. This is what's causing my bearing to slip. Now, I could replace it, but it's eventually still going to happen. I have a lot of dirt around this chassis, and obviously a lot of the oil is making its way through the backplate because eventually these bushings here, they literally just get worn. It's not the end of the world. You can get yourself a whole new backplate here for like $12. The parts for these motors are so cheap. I'm going to clean the bearing in the sink with some carb cleaner. You could use pretty much any kind of like automotive cleaner. It's fine, no big deal. My hope is that if I Dremel this and create a couple of scoring marks, nothing big, but basically just like sand the starting shaft, it will create a better surface for the bearing to grab onto. Other people have done it. I have done it. Guaranteed to work. Just don't overdo it. I'm going to show you guys now how I'm actually going to do it. Ground is removed. You now have better access to the motor. Gotta be very careful here. You can remove the header. I'm not going to. I've done this before. no big deal. Just tiny little scoring marks. That should be fine. That should be fine. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can clearly see. There is some scoring now right here on the starter shaft. I think that should be enough. You know what? Only a test will tell. I'm not going to do more than this. You don't want to risk having the one-way bearing completely not turn on you. We could test it out right now. I'm going to put it back on. It goes on with the writing facing the motor. If it goes on, it's fine. Okay, yeah, so it goes on. I can't spin it the other way. It is catching. So I know I haven't completely destroyed the starting shaft, so that's a good sign. One of the most annoying parts to remove on any RC, these damn E-clips. It's no big deal. Got a lot of experience. And I also have a lot of, oh, you see that? If I didn't have my hand here in the front, this would have been gone. But luckily I have a lot of these. It's no big deal. Okay, yeah, it's out. Clutch bell looks normal. I don't see any massive wear on it. Seems normal on the inside there. I've removed the original clutch that was on this thing, and guys, take a close look. I know it looks okay, you know, right away when you look at it, but I will tell you this. You see how easily I'm able to move these clutch shoes apart? Well, that in itself is an indicator that the clutch spring is extremely weak. These clutch shoes should not be able to come apart in your hand like this. That is not good. That's why it was lightly engaging even when the engine RPM was low when I was running the T-Maxx. This is just a sign of an old spring. It's really nothing bad. I gotta say, this clutch shoe material, I think this is Teflon or some kind of carbon material. It's been used on HPIs since I got into the hobby. This is nothing new. A lot of people upgrade to aluminum clutches. But guys, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this clutch. This is a great clutch. The only problem is the damn spring. And unfortunately, they don't sell springs separately. You have to buy the entire clutch itself, which is a kit. You know, you have the new clutch shoes and you have the spring itself. The way this works is these little hooks over here. Try to get one of them. One of them is like open. This one right here, I could see an opening. Maybe I should go this way. Yeah, I think I'm doing it wrong, so I'm gonna flip it in my hands. This little hook should hook onto the other one. You know, maybe there's a way of doing this. I'm not like a clutch expert. I rarely even like service stuff like this, but I do know how to do it. Okay, I got it, finally. It makes like a little teardrop like this. Then you put it on around one clutch shoe. Oh, this is not easy. Okay, I got one in. I think the best system is to probably put where the spring comes together in the middle of a clutch shoe. When you put in the second shoe, make sure that the pins are on the opposite side. You guys see the way this is? The reason is, if you flip it this way, it will not go onto the pins on the flywheel. That is the reason why. You know, basically physics. Okay, I'm going to try to put this in somehow. This is my least favorite part ever. Normally, with regular spring tightness, this is not easy. Ah, I got some of it. Gotta get the rest over here. Oh yeah, I'm struggling, baby. Okay, we finally got it. Oh, thank God. It's finally in. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I am pressing it pretty hard, and it is barely budging. This is normal. So I cannot slide the shoes on themselves at all. I could definitely tell the tightness of this spring. So yeah, unfortunately, these old springs, they just stretch out. Now we can put it on. I'm gonna just slide the clutch in now. Also, my least favorite part, sometimes it's pretty tough to align these pins, but we're gonna do it. Okay, there it goes. It's aligned. Make sure it seats normally. And boom, guys, the clutch is on. You know, nitro gang repair right here. It's normal that it sits a little bit off center. That's no big deal. The reason is when it engages, when the centripetal force is enough, it will just fly open anyway. And that's how it makes contact with the clutch bell. That is literally where your power transfer is coming from. That's it. Slide all the shims back on. You know, try to remember the way you had this assembled. And the clutch is done. Last step, got to get this E-clip in there. My least favorite part as well. But it'll go in. Make sure the clutch bell spins easily. There's no weird friction. And you don't have excessive play. You see this little amount of play I have on the shaft? I should have put another thin Teflon washer in there. But this is how it is. I know it'll last in the truck. You do not want to have excessive movement. I would say any more than this kind of movement on the clutch bell is excessive. But it survived this long. It's okay. I'm going to get it back in the truck. It'll do just fine. Everything is back. It's all assembled. I have the fuel filter in. The question is it going to start? I got to make sure it starts, because if I show up tomorrow and this thing don't start, it's going to be fairly embarrassing. Well, the one-way bearing, not slipping. You can hear it's catching. Oh, too much power. That's right, baby. I gotta shut it down. Too much exhaust. Too much nitro in the house, baby. Wow. Wow, guys, that was a success. I'm hyped. I'm excited. I'm ready to go to the RC track tomorrow and take on a whole bunch of electrics. It's 12:23 right now, so it's taking me a little bit more than an hour to do all of this. Remove the engine, fix the one-way bearing, you know, score up the starting shaft where you saw it starts perfectly, so my repair does in fact work. Fortunately, it's probably still gonna slip eventually because this motor is old, but it's got tons of compression. I checked by turning over the flywheel, and it was tight, guys. And I don't even know the history of this motor before I got this RC. It was seized before that. This honestly would have taken me like maybe 30 minutes to do if it wasn't for the recording, the lighting, you know, putting gloves on, whatever, all this nonsense. Like I said in the beginning of this video, the T-Maxxes, they're relatively easy to work on. There's really nothing to it. As long as you don't have transmission problems, where in this case you usually do not. You know, you could be yelling 2-speed baby all day long, and when I go to the RC track tomorrow morning, I'm going to be yelling 2-speed baby as much as I possibly can, because I guarantee you, there will be no electric with a 2-speed. Do I sound like a jerk when I yell 2-speed baby? Who cares? This is a damn T-Maxx. This ain't no Arma. This ain't no Slash. Some of you might say, oh, who cares about the T-Maxx? The Nitro gang. We care about the T-Maxx. So if you want to call us out, do it. I will challenge you. I might even call you out in a debate, you know, about the history of RC. I might even challenge you to some kind of tug of war. Will I win? Probably not. My transmission's probably going to break before that. But hey, listen, I don't care. I'll do it. This will look good doing it. There will be a lot of smoke coming out of here. And the smoke is going to be coming out of the exhaust, not out of the lipos that probably will be failing sooner or later on many of those electrics. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I don't know if I'm going to include a lot of this race footage from tomorrow in this video, because this video is getting really, really long. I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed now. See you later. Looks like I'll have to talk through the chassis of both of these, right? Anyways, the Associated MGT right here has the largest nitro motor ever put into a ready-to-run factory monster truck other than the Thunder Tiger EK4.